Hello everyone, myself Sukanya Roy, and once again I welcome all of you to my HS first year online biology classes. So in this lecture we are going to start with a new chapter which is named as Animal Kingdom, and here we will deal with the diverse type of animals which are present in the entire world. Okay, we will deal about their characteristics, the basis of classification, and then gradually we will study about all the different classes and types of uh, animals which are found, okay, on our earth. So let's start with our class. So first of all, introduction about animals. So they are the members of animal kingdom, or the animals belong to the kingdom Animalia, and they are multicellular organisms which are eukaryotic in nature. That is, the cells of animals are eukaryotic. Clear? That is, the animals are the group of multicellular eukaryotic organisms. So you can see the characteristics of animals are given here. So the first one says that the animals are eukaryotic. That means the cells which actually makes up the animals' bodies are eukaryotic in nature. Okay. Next, they are multicellular organisms. Okay. So all the animals which are found on our earth are multicellular. That is, there is no unicellular animals found. Clear? That means all the bodies of the animals are made up of more than one cells. So they are termed as multicellular organisms. Clear? Next, the animals are heterotrophic in nature. That means they are not able to produce their own food and depend on other organisms for their food, and hence they are termed as heterotrophic organisms. For example, the herbivorous animals like the cow, goats, etc., they actually depend directly on the green plants for their food. Okay, so here the green plants can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis, and hence they are termed as the autotrophic organisms. Whereas the animals which are not able to prepare their own food are termed as heterotrophic organisms. So all the animals are heterotrophic in nature. Clear? Next, they are generally motile. With a very few exceptions, all the animals are motile. That means they can move from one place to another, or they can perform locomotion. Okay, so this is a very important characteristic of animals which separates or it from the other organisms. Okay, and with a very few exceptions, all the animals can move from one place to the other. So this is all about the characteristics and introduction of this chapter. Okay, let's move to the next portion where we are going to study about the basis of classification. That is, if we are going to classify the animals present on the earth, okay, all the animals, if we are going to classify them, then there needs to be some basis, or there needs to be some criteria based on which the animals will be classified or divided into different groups. So here are the list. Okay, so let's just have a look at what on the basis of what all criteria we will like the animals are actually classified into different groups. Clear? The first one is the levels of organization, second the body plan, third is the body symmetry, then the germ layers, then coelom or body cavity, and ultimately the notochord. So we are going to study about all of these points in details in the upcoming slides. Let's just have a look. The first one, the first basis of classification is levels of organization. That means the bodies of the different organisms are made up of, or the structure is actually based on different organization. Okay, so based on that organization, or based on the structure of how the bodies of the animals are actually constructed, based on that the entire animal kingdom can be divided into three groups. Okay, so the animal kingdom has three different levels of organization, which are, the first one is cellular level of organization, second one is the tissue level of organization, the third one is the organ system level of organization. So the first one, cellular level of organization, from the name itself you can understand that in this group of organisms or in this group of animals, the body is actually made up of some clusters of cells, or the body is actually arranged into some cell aggregates, and there is no other higher forms of organization. As a result, this type is termed as cellular level of organization. That means in these animals, the body or the structure of the animals are actually based on some aggregates of cells only, and there is no other higher levels of organization found in this group of organisms. That means this level is found in the very primitive type of animals, example sponges. Okay. The next one is the tissue level of organization. Here in these animals what happens, the cells which are present, they are actually grouped into several clusters termed as tissues. That means here the cells which perform similar functions and have similar structure and origin are grouped into the different higher organization termed as tissues, and hence the body is organized into several important tissues, and so it is termed as tissue level of organization. For example, Hydra from the phylum Nidaria. We will study about all of these phylums in details. Okay. Next, the third one and the final one, this is the most advanced one, is the organ system level of organization, where the multicellular bodies of the animals have different types of tissues, which tissues in turn are organized into some organs, some specialized organs, and then the organs in turn are organized into some specialized organ systems, okay, which performs different essential functions from the day-to-day lives. As a result, the most advanced type of level of organization is the organ system level of organization, and it is found in the maximum of the organisms from the phylum Platyhelminthes to the phylum Chordata. Okay, so please don't be like confused with the terms, with the names like phylum and all. We will study about all of this, okay, in details in the upcoming slides and in the upcoming classes. The next basis of classification is based on body plan. That is, there is a perfect, or there is a like a particular plan or of construction of the bodies of the different animals. Okay, and this is termed as body plan. That means if you are going to construct anything, then there should be a perfect plan, right? So here, for the construction of the bodies of the animals, there are different types of plans, okay, and these are termed as the body plans. So based on the body plans of the different animals, the entire animal kingdom can be divided again into three broad groups. Okay, the first one is cell aggregate body plan, next one is blind sac body plan, the third one is tube within a tube body plan. Now let us just have a look what are this. So the first one, cell aggregate body plan. Here what happens, the body plan or the plan or the structure of the body is formed by the loose arrangement of only cells, and there is no tissues or any other higher levels of organization. Okay, so in this type of, or in this structures of the body, the body is actually planned in such a way that it consists of only some cell aggregates. Okay, and so it is termed as cell aggregate body plan. So automatically you can understand that this type of body plan will be found in the very simpler and primitive type of living organisms or the animals. Clear? The second one is blind sac body plan. So this type of body plan is actually found in some organisms termed as coelenterate. You can see here this one, this structure denotes the blind sac body plan, which means that there will only be one opening for taking in something and giving out. That means the body will have only one opening to eat food and give out the waste material. That means there is no means like only one opening is present. As a result, and the ending here you can see it is closed, okay, for which it is termed as blind sac body plan. That means if anything is entering inside the body, then it will have to like ultimately it will have to move outside the body through the same route, okay, and there is no other route. As a result, only presence of one opening gives the name as blind sac body plan. So the animal body consists of a single opening for for both ingestion and egestion. That means the body of this type of organisms is planned in such a way that it will have only one opening for taking in something and giving out the same thing. That means there is only one opening, and the this part of the body is a closed one, okay, there is no way to go out from this side, and so it is termed as a blind sac body plan. Clear? So the third one, you can see the most advanced one, is tube within a tube plan, which means that this type is found in the higher organisms where the body has two tubes. That is, the body can be divided into two tubes, one formed by the body wall and the other formed by the alimentary canal. Now you can see here this diagram actually denotes the tube within a tube body plan, where you can see that there is a tube, okay, and like it is having two openings. That means this is the mouth through which the food will go inside the body, and this is the anus, or the way, or the opening through which the waste materials will be given out. Unlike this one was having only one opening through which the food actually entered and the waste materials actually was thrown out, right? And this was a closed, this end was a closed one. But here you can see that there is a open pathway, and it is having two openings, here and here. That means the food will enter through this route and it will go out through this route. Clear? So this tube is the tube of the digestive tract. Clear? And the other tube is the body wall, the one which actually forms by the body wall. That means the entire body is planned in such a way that the entire body is divided into two tubes. Okay, you can just imagine two tubes where the outer tube with the bigger diameter is the one which is formed by the body wall. That is our boundary of the body. Clear? And the other, that is the smaller tube, is actually this one. So the entire body wall forms one tube. You can see this one, a tubular structure, and that this one is the inner tube, okay, that is the digestive tract forms the inner tube. So this is the tube within a tube body plan. So here the digestive canal has two openings, mouth and anus. Example are all the higher groups of animals. Clear? The next one is about the next basis of classification is the body symmetry. Okay, that means the arrangement of the body parts centering a particular point or line, okay, which determines the symmetry of the body. Clear? Now the animals can be divided into two specific types based on the body symmetry. That is, whether the body of a particular organism is symmetrical or not. Based on that, the organisms can be divided into two specific types. The first one is asymmetrical, okay, and the second one is symmetrical. Let us just have a look what is this. So asymmetrical body plan, here actually what happens, the body cannot be divided into equal halves along any plane. That is, you will not be able to divide the body into similar halves. If you want to divide it into similar halves through any of the planes, you will not be able to do so. That means there is no symmetry in the body. So this is an example of an organism, okay, which is asymmetrical. So you can see that you will not be able to divide the body into any plane so that you can get two equal halves. That means the body cannot be divided into equal halves if you cut it or if you divide it through any of the planes. So such type of animals are termed as asymmetrical animals. That is, there is no symmetry, okay, or similarity in the different parts of the body. Next one is symmetrical. Here the body can be divided into two similar parts, okay. So examples are the vertebrates and the most of the invertebrates. Now let us just take a diagram to have an idea about what is or how the symmetrical bodies of the different animals looks like. Okay, so you can see that here the symmetrical bodies of the animals can be divided into two types of symmetry. One is radial symmetry and the other one is bilateral symmetry. So let us just have an idea about the two types of symmetrical bodies in the next slide. So here you can see that the first one is the radial symmetry, or the body symmetry is termed here as the radial symmetry, which is a type where any plane passing through the central axis of the body divides it into two equal halves. Okay, so examples are organisms of the phylum Coelenterata or Cnidaria, or then Echinodermata, etc. So here let us just have a idea with the help of a diagram. So you can see here this organism, okay, which belongs to the phylum Coelenterata. Okay, so this organism actually shows radial symmetry. So what is radial symmetry? Here the body is made up in such a way that if you divide the body along any of the plane, then you will get two equal halves. Okay, that means you can, there is not only a single plane through which you can divide the body into two equal halves, but rather the body can be divided into two equal parts if you cut it on any of the plane. See, if you cut it along this plane, then also you will get two equal halves. If you cut the body along this plane, then also you will get two equal halves. If you cut the body along this plane or this plane, then also you will get two equal halves. So such type of symmetry is termed as radial symmetry. Am I clear to all of you? Okay, the next one is bilateral symmetry. So the name itself suggests that if you that means the body actually can be divided into two equal halves only along one plane, that is the longitudinal plane. So here you can see that this type of animals where you can just divide the body into right and left halves only if you means like only if you try to divide it along a single longitudinal plane. Other than this, if you cut it along any other plane, then you will not get two equal halves. Okay, so such type of symmetry is termed as bilateral symmetry. So this type of bilateral symmetry is generally observed in the higher group of animals, okay, including the mammals, that is, and also the human beings, which are included under the mammals. Now see that this one is a example of an arthropod. Okay, so here when along the longitudinal axis, if you try to divide the body, then you will get one right and a left half. But if you try to divide it along any other plane, then you will not get two equal halves. And one more thing, here you can see that this portion, the mouth, the portion where the mouth of the body is there, is termed as the anterior end, and the portion where which is towards the tail, okay, is termed as the posterior end. Okay, and the body, like the upper part of the body or the back side, is termed as the dorsal side, while the portion below, okay, the portion of the body which is below or the abdomen side is actually termed as the ventral side. Please try to remember these words, dorsal and ventral. These are very important, and you will come across these words several times while you study the different classes of the animals. Clear? I hope this body symmetry is clear to all of you. Okay. Next, basis of classification. The fourth one is the germ layers. So here what happens actually, the animals of the animal kingdom can be divided into two broad groups based on the number of germ layers or the number of embryonic germ layers. Okay, so all of us know that the animals actually while they undergo embryonic development, okay, then they undergoes the formation of three layers termed as germinal layers. So they are termed as ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. Okay, so nothing but some layers of cells, or when the cells actually gets arranged, and ultimately these layers gives rise to the different types of organs and organ systems in the adults. Okay, so based on the number of germ layers which are present in the animals, they are divided into two types: diploblastic animals and triploblastic animals. So diploblastic animals are those animals which have only two germ layers present. Okay, that is ectoderm and endoderm. Those animals which have only two embryonic germ layers present in their body are termed as diploblastic animal. Diplo-di, okay, di means two, and so it is having two germ layers, that is ectoderm and endoderm. Okay, while triploblastic animals are those animals which have three embryonic germ layers. Triplo, right? Tri means three. So here, those animals which have three embryonic germ layers, that is ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm, are termed as triploblastic animals. So out of these two, the triploblastic animals are those which are the most advanced ones, and the diploblastic animals are those which are the non-advanced or the primitive ones. Clear? So here is a diagram with the help of which you can understand. So it is nothing but a cross section of the bodies of the different animals. You can just consider it as the cross section. So you can see here that in diploblast or the diploblastic type of animals, you can see that only two layers are there. That is, you can see this one, the outer layer, this one is the outer boundary, right, or outer layer. This one is the ectoderm, and the inner one, this pink one, is the endoderm. Okay. In diploblast, the mesoderm is missing. So this layer, this one is missing, or mesoderm is missing, and this here actually this is nothing but a layer consists of some non-living materials. Okay, that means mesoderm is absent, and it is constituted of only two layers, that is ectoderm, the outer one, and endoderm, the inner one. Clear? While in case of the triploblastic organisms, you can see that three layers are there. The outer one, this one, the sky one, is the ectoderm. Okay. Then the middle one, green one, is the mesoderm, and the inner one is the endoderm. So this constitutes the three different layers in the triploblastic animals. Clear? The next is the coelom or the body cavity. So what is coelom? It is nothing but the cavity of our body, okay, or the body cavity is termed as coelom. So it is generally lined by mesoderm. Already we have seen that, right? Three types of germ layers are present in our body, okay, and during the embryonic development, and here the body cavity is actually lined by the middle layer, which is termed as mesoderm. Now, based on the presence or absence of coelom or body cavity, the animals of the entire kingdom can be divided into three broad groups. The first one is acoelomate, then pseudocoelomate, and then coelomate. So acoelomate are those animals which do not have the coelom. Animals lacking coelom are termed as acoelomates. A means absence. So absence of coelom is termed as acoelomates. Clear? For example, animals belonging to the phylum Porifera, Cnidaria, and Platyhelminthes. The next is pseudocoelomate. So here the animals possessing body cavity which is not lined by mesoderm, and so they are termed as pseudocoelomates. Pseudo means false. So already we have seen that coelom or the body cavity is that type of body cavity which is lined or bordered by the mesoderm. If any type of body cavity is present which is not lined by mesoderm, then it will be termed as a false body cavity or a pseudocoelom. Okay, so in the animals of the phylum Aschelminthes, it is seen that the body cavity is not lined by mesoderm, and so it is termed as false body cavity or pseudocoelom, and such type of animals are termed as pseudocoelomates. Clear? And the third one are the coelomates, or the animals which have true coelom or true body cavity lined by mesoderm are termed as coelomates. For example, the higher group of animals from the phylum Annelida to the phylum Chordata, all the animals are included under the group of coelomate animals, that is they have true coelom. Clear? So here is the diagram. So here you can see that in the acoelomate animals, only like The three germ layers are there. There is ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm, but there is no body cavity. Okay, this one is the digestive cavity, or um, the alimentary canal or the digestive tract, but you can see there is no body cavity or coelom. That is, it is lacking absence of coelom, so acoelomate. Here you can see that pseudo coelomate. That means you can see here that this one is the ectoderm, then mesoderm, and then endoderm, this yellow one. And here you can see that one cavity is present. So it is the body cavity here, but why it is false one? Because it is not lined by mesoderm. See, mesoderm is this one, and here no mesoderm is present or no lining of mesoderm is seen. As a result, it is a false or a pseudo coelom. Clear? And here in the third one, it will be clear to all of you when you will observe this one. See, this one is the ectoderm, this pink one is the mesoderm, and this yellow one is the endoderm. And this inner white portion is the digestive tract, and this one is the true coelom. You can see here this true coelom is interrupted here by mesoderm. Have you seen? This true coelom is lined by mesoderm. Have you seen this pink one? Here also it is there. So within the coelom, actually it is lined from inner part and outer lining also with the mesoderm, and so this type of coelom which is lined from both the outside and inside by the mesoderm is termed as true coelom, and this type of animals are termed as coelomate animals. Clear? Okay. The last one is the last type or the basis of classification is notochord. Okay, so what is notochord? It is nothing but a rod-like structure, okay, which is formed on the dorsal side of an organism during the embryonic development in some of the animals. Okay, and this notochord is also derived from mesoderm, and so here it is mentioned that notochord is a mesodermally derived rod-like structure formed on the dorsal side. Remember which is the dorsal side? You can consider the back side of any animal. Okay, the upper side or the back side is termed as the dorsal side, and the abdomen side or the inner side is termed as the ventral side. So here what is notochord? It is a rod-like structure which is formed on the dorsal side, that is on the back, towards the back side. Okay, and it is developed during the embryonic development in some of the animals, and it is derived from mesoderm. So obviously the animals which will have notochord, they will be based on the presence or absence of notochord, the entire animals of the animal kingdom can be divided into two broad groups. One is chordates and the other is non-chordates. So you can understand that the animals which will have notochord or which will possess notochord, they will be termed as the chordates, and the animals which will not possess notochord, they will be termed as non-chordates. So here is a diagram. You can just see that this structure, this structure is nothing but it represents the stage during the embryonic development of a particular animal. Okay, so here you can see that this one is the back side and this is the abdomen side, right? So this one is the notochord. It is nothing but a rod-like structure which has formed along the dorsal side of the embryonic development of this particular animal. Okay, so this one is the notochord. The main function of notochord is to provide support and structure to the body of the animal while it is during the embryonic development. Clear? Its main function is to provide structure and support to the embryonic the animal in its embryonic development. Clear? So based on the presence or absence of notochord, animals can be divided into two groups, chordates and non-chordates. So this is all about the first lecture of Animal Kingdom. We will continue with the remaining portions in our next lecture. Thank you all of you